Bruce, you must have something really good too.
Of course I do. It's Bruce Danielson, and I guess I'm here to entertain you too.
Good evening, and welcome to the Carnegie Town Hall. This meeting of the City Planning Commission will begin after a few introductory remarks. The City of Sioux Falls Planning Commission serves as an advisory board to the City Council. It is the responsibility of the Planning Commission to consider and make recommendations on land use and zoning matters. Actions taken tonight on conditional use permits are final unless appealed to the City of Sioux Falls City Council in writing within 5 days. And any actions taken tonight on initial development plans or alternative plans are final. Any recommendations made on preliminary subdivision plan requests tonight will be referred to the City Council for final action at the third council meeting of this month, or at the first council meeting of next month if associated with a rezoning. Any recommendations made on rezoning requests, future land use amendments, or ordinance amendments tonight will be referred to the City Council for final action at the first City Council meeting of next month. Council meetings are held at 6 p.m. here in the Carnegie Town Hall and are televised. The Planning Commission will first approve the consent agenda and then the regular agenda. In order to place certain non-controversial items on the Commission's consent agenda, Planning staff and the Planning Commission apply the following criteria. First, the request conforms with the Shape Sioux Falls 2040 Comprehensive Plan. Second, Planning staff recommends approval of the request. And third, there are no audience members present or written comments received in opposition to the request. By approving the consent agenda, the Commission is approving the items on consent. Therefore, upon approval of the agenda, those members of the public in attendance for those items are free to leave. For the regular agenda, the following normal public hearing procedure will be followed for each item, by first requesting planning staff to present a brief report on that item. Second, the petitioner or a representative will be requested to come forward to make a statement or answer questions. After the petitioner has spoken, anyone from the audience who wishes to address the agenda item shall be recognized. Then, the Planning Commission will discuss the matter further and take appropriate action. We ask that anyone addressing the Planning Commission move to the podium microphone and identify themselves for the record. Please limit your comments to less than 5 minutes. As a courtesy to everyone here tonight, we ask that you please either turn off or silence your electronic devices. This meeting is being televised on CityLink or is available at any time at siouxfalls.org. Thank you for your cooperation. Good evening and welcome to Carnegie Town Hall. I call this meeting of the Sioux Falls Planning Commission to order. I would like to emphasize a couple of items tonight. Out of courtesy for everyone, please silence all electronic devices. We look forward to hearing your testimony tonight and appreciate all of you joining us. In an effort to have significant time to hear from all audience members, we ask that when you come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. Please also limit your comments to 5 minutes or less to allow us to hear from everybody that would like to speak tonight. We're going to get to the consent agenda, but before we do, it's my understanding that there are a couple commissioners with the desire to recuse themselves. Those commissioners, please state your conflict at this time.
Mr. Chair, this is Sean Irvin. I have a conflict with item 2 of the consent agenda.
And I believe it's 2C, is that correct?
2C,
yes,
correct.
Thank you.
Correct.
Mr. Chair, I have a need to recuse myself on item 2C also.
Thank you, commissioners. Anybody else? This time then, go ahead and recuse yourselves. Denise, go ahead and please read the items on the consent agenda.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Item 1 is approval of minutes. 1A is Planning Commission briefing of Tuesday, October 5th, 2021. Item 1B is Planning Commission regular meeting of Wednesday, October 5th, 2021. Item 2A, Petition Rezone 015134-2021, rezoning from the I-1 Light Industrial District to the RS Single Family Residential Suburban District, located at 720 East Maple Street. Item 2B, Petition Rezone 015194-2021, rezoning from the RD2 Townhome Residential RA1 Apartment Low Density and LW Live Work Districts to the CN Conservation RA3 Apartment High Density Districts located at the southeast corner of 85th Street and Tallgrass Avenue. Item 2C, petition, rezone 015196-2021, rezoning from the C3 Commercial Community District to the S1 General Institutional District located at the northeast corner of Madison Street and Veterans Parkway. Item 2D, petition, rezone 015251-2021, rezoning from the C3 Community, Commercial, and LW Live Work Districts to the CN Conservation and LW Live Work District located at the northeast corner of West 85th Street and South Audie Avenue. Item 2E, petition, conditional use 015299-2021, conditional use permit for on-sale alcoholic beverage establishment within 500 feet from a sensitive use located at 2408 East 10th Street. Item 3, consent agenda approval.
Thank you, Denise. Members of the public, it is the plan for the Planning Commission to approve of all of those items on consent unless anybody here would like to discuss any of those items. So if you are here to discuss any of those items, they're the ones with item number 2 on them, please come forward at this time and let us know. If you let us know, we will remove them from the consent agenda. See no objections. Do we have one? Yep, please come forward and let us know which item you have that you'd like to have discussion on.
Scott Fitch, 1713 North Paddington Trail. I believe it's the one, was it the second one with the Madison?
Madison, is that
Second,
two?
third. That one right there, yep, C3.
C?
That one right there. I believe it's a Sanford clinic that's gonna go in there. And I just had some questions about.
Okay, very good. And if you would like to have that one removed, we will do that. So thank you. We'll note that, and we'll have item 2C removed to the regular agenda. Members of the public, anybody else here tonight that would like to speak to a consent agenda item? Seeing none, I will look for the commissioners if they have any items that they would like to remove. Seeing none from the commissioners, look for a motion to approve of the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Can I get an amendment to move item 2C to the regular agenda tonight?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to move item 2C from consent to regular agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the amendment, commissioners? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The amendment has passed. Now we're on to the the consent agenda as modified. Commissioners, any discussion on the consent agenda tonight? Seeing none, we'll take a vote on the consent agenda as modified. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The consent agenda as modified has been approved. If you were here for any of those consent agenda items with the exception of 2C, you are free to leave, and thank you for coming tonight. Now we will move on to the regular agenda. Can I get a motion to approve of the regular agenda as modified to include 2C?
Mr. Chair, move to approve the regular agenda as modified.
Second.
A motion and a second. Commissioners, any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of the regular agenda signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. That has passed. Denise, if I could get you to reread item 2C, that'd be great.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Item 2C, petition rezone 015196-2021, rezoning from the C3 Commercial Community District to the S1 General Institutional District located at the northeast corner of Madison Street and Veterans Parkway.
Good evening, Planning Commission. Jason Bieber representing Planning and Development Services. This is an application by AE2S. The owner is Greystone Commercial Holdings LLC. It's located at the northwest corner of East Madison Street and Veterans Parkway. It's roughly 12.45 acres in size. The purpose of the request is the applicant is looking to rezone that 12.5 acre parcel from the C3 commercial district to an S1 institutional district for a future medical clinic. Access, as you can see, has already kind of been set on Madison Street with the existing access point on the west side of this property. As part of this plat and as part of this project, East Tahoe will be extended to the east over to Powder House Road. There won't be any access from Powder House Road down to Madison Street because of the close proximity to Veterans Parkway. Because the subject application is consistent with the Shape Sioux Falls Comprehensive Plan, staff does recommend approval of this rezone request, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Jason. Commissioners, any questions for Jason on item 2C? None at this time, thank you. Could I get the applicant forward tonight? Thank you. Please step up to the podium and tell us about your proposed rezone.
Excuse me, Eric Kinghorn for Sanford Health, 1305 West 18th Street. The applicant couldn't be here tonight, but they're representing our purchase of the land. I don't know what questions you guys have in regards to this.
Very good. Commissioners, any questions at this time? Seeing none, but we may call you back. Thank you. At this time, we'll open the floor to public input on this item. Come back up, Scott. We'll let you kick it off.
Scott Fitch, 1713 North Pedestrian Trail. So I have three questions, or approximately three questions. On, if it's for Sanford's, it could be a clinic. There's a clinic that's 1.3 or 1.2 miles away, and I want to know what the difference between this clinic is going to be and the one that's across from Washington High School. Second question I have is this going to be a structure that's going to be like the clinic that's on over on the west side of Sioux Falls, where it's like a 3-story and like a mini emergency room type deal? And then the third question I have is, well, in reference to that one on the west side, is it going to be like the 3-story? Is that the height that's going to be? And then the third question is, will it be like a helipad base as anything, as where actually helicopters can come into it? We have a lot of helicopters in the area that operate. I was just curious, so that we're going to have helicopters coming to this area, landing in that area. You know, when they land, they make obviously a lot more noise. And that's the only questions I have.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate your questions. Any questions for Scott? None at this time. Any further public input tonight on this item? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Ryan Tisdall, Sioux Falls. My family owns the land directly to the south of this, and we're very excited to see this development coming to the east side. I think it's a great addition to Highway 100 and think it's good for Sioux Falls.
Thank you, Ryan. Further public input on this item tonight? I think, considering Scott's question, could I get the applicant back up, and if you could address some of those, I think that'd be beneficial.
Yes, the clinic will be about 16,000 square feet. It's going to be a multidisciplinary clinic. It's going to have family medicine, obstetrics and gynecology, and pediatrics, where I think just Fourth and Sycamore, that's strictly family medicine based. So it's going to expand our services in a part of town that's growing. It is a single story, 16,000 square foot clinic with an attached Lewis. No helicopters are planned at any time at a clinic that I know of. So.
Very good, thank you. We'll do one last call for public input. Anybody on this item 2C? Seeing none, we'll close the floor to public input. I'll look for commissioner action.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 2C.
Second.
Very good. Commissioners, further discussion on this item?
Mr. Chair, if this is going to turn out to be a model similar to the one on the west side, I think it's a great addition to the area. I use that particular facility myself that's on the west side, and I think it's just a great combination services in one place. So I'll be in favor of this.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Further discussion tonight? Seeing none, we'll take a vote on this item 5C. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. That item, and I'll correct myself, item 2C has passed. We'll invite the remaining commissioners back in. And before we get to item 5A, I will announce that I myself will be recusing myself on this item for a conflict of interest, and I will be passing the gavel off to Vice Chair Johnson.
Denise, can you read item 5A, please?
Yes, Mr. Vice Chair. Item 5A is a petition, rezone 015272, 2021, rezoning from the RT1 Single Family Residential Traditional District to the C1 Commercial Pedestrian Oriented District located at 100 South Grange Avenue.
This is an application by Keith Thompson with Coke Hazard. The owner is Boulevard Properties LLC, Alex Hallback. The purpose of this is the applicant is looking to redevelop this existing structure on this lot, give it a reface and do a coffee shop. This is a concept plan that was provided by Coke Hazard. You can see the building is currently 2 stories, and then they're proposing a rooftop area. Story number 1 will be used for a coffee shop provider or a small restaurant. Story number 2 is going to be used for office space, separate tenants. And then they're looking to be able to utilize the roof for some rooftop seating as part of that. The RE1 form does require 10-foot front yard setbacks on Grange and 9th Street. Parking is provided. It needs to be provided at 1 space per every 200 square feet. The applicant is showing on-street parking at this time that will have to be approved by the city council to do on-street parking on Grange Avenue. If he's unable to get that approved or the amount of parking, then that's the area to the east, or to the south of the existing building will need to be utilized for a parking lot. Landscaping, they'll be required to do some additional trees, as you can see by the existing exhibit. And also they will be required a buffer yard along that east and south property line. That will include a 10-foot setback, a new fence, and some landscaping. The applicant did hold a neighborhood meeting on October 27th at 5:30 at the library downtown. We had about 15 or so attendees. We had representatives from the Cathedral District and also from Pettigrew. Their main concerns were traffic and parking issues within the area. 9th and Grange becomes heavily trafficked. It's a stop sign, but people blow through the stop sign. Mr. Hallback did a good job of explaining the project and the investment that he's putting into there. And my opinion after that meeting, most or everyone there was supportive of this specific project, as long as they can keep that on-site parking or they can meet the parking requirements. Staff does recommend approval of this application. Really, it's consistent with one of our neighborhood revitalization goals that we have for some of these neighborhoods. The applicant is providing those required buffer yards on the east and south side. And then the comments at the public meeting, as I indicated before, were pretty favorable in support of this project. So staff does recommend approval of this rezone project, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Jason? Okay, thank you, Jason. Is there anyone from the public who would like to, the applicant here first, excuse me. Let us know your name and tell us about the application.
Thanks, everyone. My name is Alex Hallback. I'm the owner of Boulevard Properties. My plan for this project is, just as Jason stated, to rezone the property to allow for me to shop for a commercial tenant that would provide a coffee shop or a breakfast restaurant on site at this location. The building, as you can see, is in pretty tough repair. It had been stuccoed in the 60s. There was quite a bit of moisture penetration between the brick and the stucco. The brick has degraded and is really disintegrated. My proposal is to re-brick the building, add commercial windows back to the main floor, replace the windows, and obviously replace the roof, provide a rooftop patio that would be used by the restaurant or coffee shop, significant upgrades and improvements to landscaping, hardscaping, fencing. There's some issues with, grade as it relates to the city street that would all be corrected as part of the project. This is kind of a pet project, if you will, for me. I'm the current chair or the president of the Board of Historic Preservation. And so redoing this and restoring that commercial project, it was built as a grocery store in 1905. Restoring that commercial project or commercial use back to this project is, I think, really important. And I think it has, generally speaking, the support of the neighborhood, so long as the traffic concerns and the parking issues can be worked out. So with that, I will open if you have any questions for me.
Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, John.
Okay, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak at this time? Please provide your name and address and limit your
address, but this is Sierra Broussard, president of the Pettigrew Neighborhood Association. We had some concerns with citizens on traffic. I want to clarify and let citizens know when there is some changes in neighborhoods. Some people, it's not good for change. Some people might not want apartments. Some people might not want rezoning of commercial space. I'm going to put a little bit of Alex's business up here, but about $1 million of his investment is going to this coffee shop here. He could have took that $1 million and put it somewhere else within the city or Harrisburg or T or whatever not. So when people want to do something like this, people got to think about that they're investing their time and their money into this. As far as traffic goes, I talked to Heath with Traffic and Engineering. If that speeding is everywhere in Sioux Falls. It's in the southeast side, it's in your poor, it's in your rich, it's everywhere, okay? So if it gets too congested over there, Heath does have some plans to slow down traffic in that area. 100 South Grange is in Pettigrew Neighborhood Association. I think it would be good to put this in. I do want people to realize that there will be development happening in the core of neighborhoods. It really needs to be revitalized. These people are not doing it out. I mean, this money on people revitalizing neighborhoods comes out of their pocket. It's not grown on trees, okay? Maybe some people have financial backers to it. Maybe it's coming out of their pocket. I don't care where it's coming from, but these people didn't have to take money out of their pocket to do something like this in the neighborhood to begin with. So the meeting went very well at the library. And people's just going to have to come to a medium in neighborhoods when this kind of rezoning happens within the core of the city, of the neighborhood here. So I told Alex I will support this. I don't think he's going to put a fly-by-night tenant in here. And we shouldn't have no issues. But if we do have a lot of traffic, it will be addressed with traffic engineering.
Thank you, Sarah. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to comment on this item?
I'm short.
Yeah, you can bend those down. There you go. And tell us your name and address. And
Becky Schaffelman, and my address is 930 West 9th. I'm basically pretty much across the street there. And my only concern is to be sure that going commercial would not raise our taxes.
okay.
That's my main concern.
Yeah.
And no tattoo shops. Thank you.
Thank you.
Answer that question first.
Yeah, I think we have an answer for the question. If
Yeah, so Becky, that would not increase the property taxes for your house. If there's another commercial building, it could push the commercial building's taxes up, but not your house. Yep.
Thanks, Larry. Anyone else? Okay.
My name is Laura Rohde, and I live at 840 West 9th Street. And I'm really active in the Cathedral Historic District, and a lot of neighbors are very excited about this. We love the idea that it will build up our neighborhood, like Sierra was saying, and it will also offer an opportunity to just walk to a coffee shop. And I think it's pretty exciting that this facility will kind of be returned to its original. And I also think it might actually help with some traffic issues, because it seems like when there's stuff going on, I mean, you think of Phillips Avenue, it might be kind of, people might not, they might speed, but the minute they get downtown, even if it wasn't 15 miles an hour, they would still slow down because there was something going on. Anyway, so I'm very much in favor of it, and I've been hearing a lot of positive feedback.
Thank you, Laura. Anyone else from the public want to comment?
I'm Mary Glinsky, and I live at 632 West 9th Street. And I think it's exciting for the neighborhood to have somebody willing to invest in something that increases livability in the neighborhood, encourages walking, because I could walk there. I don't have to cross a busy street except for 9th Street. And I live on 9th Street, so I can cross it at a convenient spot. Also, it's nice to have a building return to its historical origin, and there was a lovely article about it that Renshaw wrote in the Argus just a week or so ago. And so it used to be a neighborhood grocery store, back when there were such things. Yeah. Now, obviously, there aren't any longer, but when there was a coffee shop over on Grange, it was pretty well patronized by a lot of people. And then it disappeared when they built the new service station, et cetera, on that same spot. So I personally don't go to coffee shops, but I think it's exciting to have one for those people who are interested in going to one. So it's certainly an improvement over the existing building, which has been somewhat neglected. So it's nice to have that happen. I'm glad I live close enough that I could walk those 3-4 blocks to go if I wanted to. They said once they might have sweet rolls. I might go for a sweet roll. Anyhow, I think it's a great addition to the neighborhood, and really appreciate that somebody's willing to invest in our neighborhood to make that happen. And while it's technically within the area of the that was represented earlier by the lady in charge of the Pettigrew Heights group, frankly, I could get to it easier than she could, because she lives on 15th Street. She has to cross 10th. She has to cross 11th. I just have to cross 9th Street down by my house. So it makes it much more convenient. And I think that since it was the coffee shop that was in the area had a good attendance, I think that the man who's putting in the time and effort and the money to make it happen is anticipating that might also be the case. And I think he's probably right.
Okay.
Thank
you,
you.
Mary. Any other comments?
Did you have a question?
I don't think there's been questions yet.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Johnson. My husband and I purchased the property in the corner of 9th and Prairie Historic House in 2019, and we put ample money into it. But we are excited. I haven't met Alex, but we live about 2.5 blocks from this site, and we are excited that more people want to be part of the solution in the Cathedral District, that people want to see a revitalization there, are willing to spend the money, and it's exciting. And we're hoping that this will lead to kind of a domino effect, especially that area on Grange. There are some problem places right in that area by what hopefully will become the coffee shop, and we kind of want to see like this starts and then the next thing and then the next thing, which is, you know, we took a risk purchasing our home, and it's nice to see other people then starting to do the same. And so just from that perspective, we're really excited about it, and that's it.
Thank you, Jennifer. Anyone else who would want to make comments? Okay. Seeing none, and we'll close the public testimony portion of this item and move on to commission action.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
All right. Any comments or discussion?
One that comes to mind is when we rezoned Sonny's Pizza. I know that was a really fight from some neighbors that had some great feedback. They addressed that stuff, and if you look at Sonny's Pizza now, I mean, everyone in the neighborhood's going there and using it nonstop, that he's now moving downtown because he can't handle the volume that's going through his local restaurant. So I think it's a great thing for the area. I know Alex will do a great job. I've seen some of the properties that he's done. He'll do it top notch, so.
Thank you. Any other
Mr.
comments?
Chair?
Yes.
I think I have noticed that, commonly we try not to put commercial properties right in the middle of a residential neighborhood because we try to create more transitions than that. In this particular case, it's a small scale building. It fits the kind of the scale of the neighborhood fairly well, and the functionality of it seems to fit the neighborhood pretty well. So this is one of those special exceptions that really make a lot of sense, and that's why really we have a planning commission to consider these things. Normally, this would be kind of a rejected deal just because it wouldn't fit the neighborhood really well, but in this case, it fits extremely well. So I'm in support of it.
Thank you. Anyone else have a comment?
Sure, Mr. Chair. I just want to offer that I think this is a wonderful opportunity to revitalize some of our core area, and I'm very much in support of this.
Okay, we can now take a vote. All in favor of the motion, say yes.
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 All opposed, say no. Motion passes. As does the gavel.
Thank you, Vice Chair Paulson. Denise, please read the next item.
Item 5B, petition and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 160 zoning, subchapter definitions, sensitive land uses.
This is an ordinance amendment to our Shape Sioux Falls zoning ordinance to address some sensitive land uses and really do some cleanup, but also really clarify what we are considering a sensitive land use. Really what we're doing is changing the definition of churches to place of worship. Churches no longer exist in our zoning ordinance. They're places of worship. We're adding daycare centers. We have daycare, or we currently have daycare, but we're adding the word centers because we do have 3 specific definitions of daycares. And this one we're looking for daycare center. And then we're also really giving you what actually a public use facility is. We didn't technically have a definition for it. We just said public use facilities. So we're breaking that out, and we're including for public use facilities, libraries, community centers, and public recreation facilities. And really the only significant change is places of worship. What we've seen over the past, 5 years or so is some of these larger box or larger multi-tenant buildings within commercial and some office areas. When retail businesses have gone out, we've seen some churches go in there. Technically, right now, they would be considered a sensitive land use. What we're proposing is to take the places of worship out of the properties that are zoned commercial or office and really leave the sensitive land use aspect for places of worship that are located within residential zoning districts. So that will still protect those places of worship that are within neighborhoods and ones that choose to locate, like I said, in residential zoning districts, but will not penalize some of our restaurants and bars and other establishments that are currently located in commercial areas because a church moves into a large retail area. So that's really the gist of it and really what we're looking to do. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Jason. Commissioners, any questions for Jason on item 5B?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So Jason, just to clarify so people understand, so when there's a daycare in a church, that's a different, it's not a daycare center. So can you explain a little bit how that works, just so that people understand?
Yeah, so right now, if a daycare center goes in a commercial residential area, it's still protected. We still classify it as a sensitive land use because of kids and different aspects of that. The only thing we would be changing then is, as indicated, a place of worship. And you can see an example is the Savers building by the mall. There's a Embrace Church that went into one of the large tenant spaces there. Well, right now, if you located it, there's several restaurants, several establishments that serve alcohol next to it. They would actually have to get a conditional use to do that, or if they expanded, or if somebody new came in. City staff feels like, and if a church decides to go, a place of worship decides to go in a commercial area, they're giving up that sensitive land use, like on the left picture. But the church or place of worship on the right, which would be located in a residential area, that's an area that is a sensitive land use, and we still need to protect those. So. But daycare centers would still stay the same. We would classify them as a sensitive land use, whatever they're zoned.
But if there was a daycare that went into the church, it would go based on the primary.
So if a place of worship, if the main use of that is a place of worship and maybe they have a small daycare for 6 kids, we would consider that an accessory use. So it would still not be a sensitive land use. The daycare center would have to be the main use of the particular parcel.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Commissioners, further questions for Jason? Seeing none, we'll open the floor to public input at this time. Anybody here tonight to speak on this item 5B? Seeing none, we'll close the floor to public input. I'll look for commissioner action on this item.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second on the floor. Commissioners, further comments and discussion?
I just think this makes a lot of sense, just because, you know, you go into an area right next to a place that's already established. Well, if they want to expand across the street or do something, it really puts them at a disadvantage, even though they've been there a long time. So I know there's a couple places throughout town that this has been an issue, and I think it makes it more fairly to those people that have invested into those properties in the past to be able to do what they want to do.
Thank you, Commissioner Lukey. Further discussion, commissioners? Seeing none, we'll take a vote on this item 5B. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
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 All those opposed say no. That item has passed 7-0. Let's move on to public input on non-agenda items. Anybody from the public here tonight that would like to speak on a non-agenda item? Seeing none, we will close the floor to public input. Commissioners, any new business tonight? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, motion to adjourn.
Second.
The motion is second. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying yes.
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 All those opposed say no. We are adjourned.